Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Beaming Global, a safe place where you can authentically keep it real and be yourself. Today, our special guest will continue to take us on a journey in sharing how they overcame some of the most challenging moments in their lives. Thank you for kind of just setting this up, right? Kind of in the beginning, but then just showing how God's hand was constantly present. I thank you for this entire setup just the way it happened. What I do know you have something to offer is to our men.
Yes.
And that's where I need you to get into through a little boy's eyes. This is what I experienced in these stages
Okay.
of, elementary, middle school, high school. And then how, once again, supernatural came in.
Yes.
But then this is what I experienced as a high schooler. This is what I experienced as a young man growing an adult. You have something very powerful to offer. I know some of it. I probably don't know all of it, but I need you to go there because there are men listening that needs to hear.
So, the Lord, as like I said, has been investing, though it was the least, has been investing in me before I understood. And what I mean by understood is as life plays out, more of God's hand is revealed, and you can look back and see. So,
and can I, if I don't mind,
please go ahead.
Me insert that. I think the overarching message is for all of us to know, whether we're a little girl or a little boy being born, that the creator of the universe is vested from that point forward.
Yes.
And we may not always see it, but
yes.
You are expressing that you were able to see it at a young age. And maybe not always be able to explain it, but eventually you got illumination as to what source was present from the time you were born up until this moment right now.
Right.
So just for our audience, I think the overarching message for those that believe or don't believe, but we are going to say that we're not here by accident. There is a creator of the universe, and without that creator, nothing can be made, not even us. And so it's just important to know that no matter how bad, no matter how ugly, no matter what shows up in your life, in your family's life, as a child, as a little boy, as a little girl, that there is, whether the mother's present or the father's present or the mother's absent or the father's absent, there is a father.
Yes.
There is still the creator of the universe is the father to all of us. And I think that's the journey that Greg is getting ready to take us on to show us from a masculine perspective. You've heard 2 seasons so far, maybe actually almost 3 seasons so far. And you heard from women. So now we want you to just hear from a man's perspective of what his journey is like. And there will be other men that will come after him. And so I'll just let you go ahead and be vulnerable and taking us through the journey.
So, my male role models were my older brother and my older cousins, males, and my uncle. Those were my older role models. But for the most part, mama was everything. So the imbalance that you're wanting me to speak about that I can bring here is, in God was always a father there, but the imbalance is for that time when you're absent, when the son does not have the father around. The son learns how to have proper honoring for the mother, the woman, but doesn't necessarily have to have proper honoring for the man or the father. Part of what is being there is learning how to honor what an honorable man, husband, father looks like. So I've learned very well how to honor women. But at that time, I did not learn this. But then something, interesting happened, and that is, I remember, I guess by this, my mom, she's divorced, and my mother was, I'll give this to her. She never did really go into bad mouthing or saying too many negative things. um but I remember, she was like, this this is not something I was taken down by force. This is not something that that she wanted, and that basically the story was is that um you know basically she had too many children, and that was a hindrance to where my bio was going. And so um now we fast forwarded. I'm 8, almost 9 years old,
Okay.
and I remember a I'll go ahead and say it, an African gentleman coming and sitting down at our dinner table, our quaint little tiny little dinner table. And I got angry. I was angry. You're why are you here? And
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting in my spot and you're drinking in my cup. I acted as ugly as can be because you're sitting in my spot,
Mm-hmm.
you're drinking out of my cup.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very gracious to me. And of course, I mean, I had old school mamas, they dish the wrath out, when it's called for.
Mm-hmm.
And and he suddenly was around a lot. And you know um and what I didn't know is that he came and he saw this single mother of three that was lacking, had a heart. And I think something was out, either the air conditioner was out or the
Mm-hmm.
compressor for the refrigerator, something major was out, and he
Mm-hmm.
took it upon himself to come and repair it, and to make sure that it was working. And so I remember they were going, and they were going to to marry, and they got married. And I remember there were some in the family that was like, you know why would such a good man choose this woman that got 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then some in his community be like, why would he? But it was God again bringing favor and investing in my life, because this man would model down for me
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to labor, support your family, to be. Now I'm being transparent. Was he very loving? No. Did he? What did he? In affection? No. But he was orderly. He was very much disciplined. He was hardworking. He was, he demonstrated a lot of those things. And I had to bring this because, you know, I had a natural father, and then but the one that's pattern comes in is this man from Africa, and he
Okay.
and he patterns this for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And years later, if we get this far
Mm-hmm.
in the seasons, I'm now sitting in the pulpit. When God brings me into ministry, I grew up naturally, in a church, but then, under one pastor. But then my spiritual father, when God was ready to birth me in the ministry
Mm-hmm.
at that time, again, he brings a man from Africa to
Okay.
come that patterns a spiritual father for me. Because I was in church and I saw Pastor so and so, but there was no, what I mean, there really was no, you know, men,
Right. So I have to bring you back, brother.
yes,
I have
bring
to
me
bring you
back,
back.
yes,
I want to hear you at 5. I want to hear the baseball. I want to hear my identity.
yes.
I want to
That
hear.
comes after he comes in. That's why I said
Okay,
that.
okay.
That
So
comes
that's
in. Yes.
okay. I'm patient.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
patient.
Yes.
And
That
I'm
comes because up to that point, none of those things could be, quite frankly, because um, you know, it was just a woman and 3 kids,
Mhm, mhm.
that was dealing with, being, feeling vulnerable in that aspect. Like I told you, my mom would bring dogs home, thought because we love pets and thought it was for pets, but she was bringing dogs home. Like we had Titan, you know. Titan was a Great Dane. He was so big and strong. We literally used to ride him like a horse, and I didn't realize she was bringing it home because it was safety, because the neighborhood was so dangerous. But she was very good at disguising what it is that the
She was
peril.
trying to protect you.
Oh God, it's so good. She was trying to protect because it's very important for children to feel secure at a young age. And I can say as an adult now, I know how vulnerable we were. But as a child, I didn't see it because we got this wonderful.
And that's what I'm wanting you to take us on the journey. I want you to take us on that detailed journey of how life looked through your lens. 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. And you're gonna express some beautiful things. You're gonna express some not so beautiful things. You're gonna express some questionable things. You're gonna express a large variety of things. And I want our audience to hear that coming
Yes.
from a man,
So
because I don't know what those things are. I'm not a man. I can't express that. But there are men wanting to hear. There are men out there that had a father absent, and their journey looked a certain kind of way.
yes.
And I'm looking for your personal, transparent, vulnerable story to express your real truth, good, bad, and ugly, because the Spirit of God wants to make a connection with
Yes.
so many other. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions,
Yes.
that did not have their father present.
So
And what your thought process was. I mean, there was, so just take us there. I mean,
so what's so challenging about this? And we kind of discussed in our previous. What's so challenging about this is that though and let me just tell another a continuation about the gym. I mean, excuse me, about Titan, the dog, and you'll understand where I'm going with this.
Okay.
And so we love Titan, and Titan was big, and Titan was strong and powerful, and then we had Titan for some months, and then one day we come, and I remember seeing ants pick up dog parts and little that's left over and stuff. I'm like, what happened? And somehow the fence was open and Titan was let out, and then the car ran Titan down. And we're just so now this is Mineral family that we loved and loved. Titan is gone, but we're not thinking a lot about that. And exactly a week later, we as again my mother. See, it's hard for me to tell the effects of what it meant at that time to not have a man in the house because she worked so hard for us not to feel it. She made herself thin. And so she would take us, to a lot of free things and the library and everything like that. And she was, and she was like I said, she was an old school mama. She was more than enough disciplinarian too. So the discipline, was coming. This again is before I told you that, the African gentleman,
right.
which would be my stepdad. Just me, mom, brothers, and siblings. And so we come home and we started to go. We entered the house, and as we entered the house, remember looking through, and things are scattered. My mom said, "Great, come back out here," and things are scattered everywhere. And we come in to the home as our home is being burglarized, and scattered. Now they are attacking us or they're burglarizing us because it's a single mother with 3 small kids. We're prey. We're vulnerable. And again, that's the effects of not having. You can have a dog all day, but the not having the man there in the home to be the protector, to seemingly let there be some consequences of, you know what, I know it's somebody in the neighborhood, I'm gonna ask questions, I'm gonna track you down, that sort of. It was just.
So when that burglary took place, how old were you at that time?
Well, I had to be what, maybe 7, something like that.
Okay.
7 years old.
So you understood what was happening.
Yes. But I didn't understand the danger though.
So I don't want to, and I get that, because whether your father was present or not, you didn't feel danger because of the great job your mother did.
Yes.
Okay, and that's how we're honoring her.
Yeah.
But once you recognize what was happening, um, and that things were taken away or things were lost, what did you feel? What did Greg, the 7-year-old boy, feel?
It's just things were so simplified then that I can't even tell you what was lost. I just remember we had to clean up. It was just one. It didn't. See, this is where I have to say, for my journey, this is where God seasoned and shielded my mind. Mm-hmm. That I'm not going to sit here and tell you that for some other young man out there, some other black man, these probably would be very traumatic events. Right. Because mind you, what I was trying to, little boy, and as I'm sitting here and as I'm thinking, so again, because I told you my mom had a large family. Mm-hmm. And my cousins. Mm-hmm. And because they went to insulate and support, and they still do support one another, from the family aspect and from the pride of family, I never lacked that, mm-hmm. the identity from that aspect, mm-hmm. of family. And that is something that is kind of a hallmark of my family. Yes. Even to those who married in, hallmark of my family is very supportive, yes. Honoring, hold you accountable, mm-hmm. still, to the generations that are yes. coming after us. Mm-hmm. So, though in a lot of ways I was the least, because it didn't, even though the Lord brought my stepdad in and it was, and they would go ahead and later get my younger brother and my younger sister, and it's 5. It's still now a family of 5, under, with basically not having, any advanced, degrees or anything. Just, it was still very, very challenging. And so I got, I got used to seeing that, life like this, for the lights to be off, mm-hmm. 3, or 4 times, but it didn't change. It didn't change me from still thinking for some reason, like, not that I'm rich, but thinking like, I'm special, mm-hmm. And that, because we would later move from that side of town to the, white side of town, mm-hmm. The suburbans. And now I'm intermingling, intermingling with kids who, their parents have and their family have. And, mm-hmm. And we were doing good just to be there. We didn't necessarily, we had enough to be there, not enough to be extra. Okay. Okay. So now I'm consistently the one that, that didn't have the nicest clothes, whose, teeth weren't always, brushed, because mm-hmm. it didn't always have toothpaste, mm-hmm. Whose, hair was, wasn't always combed. And as I told you the story, I got to where I would, take a cap, put it on my head, mm-hmm. And do like that, and then go to school and take the cap off and make it seem like the cap was the reason why my hair was so messed up. Mm-hmm. And you had a strategy. I had a strategy. Because now you're in a new neighborhood, getting acclimated to a new place. Yes. And now you have a diverse group of people you're having to interact with. Yes. Different nationalities. Yes. Right.
And
Yes.
but at the same time, although you're now being exposed to a different environment that has maybe much more than you were accustomed to seeing,
Yeah.
um, you're trying to fit in.
I'm trying to
You
fit
get
in.
acclimated and fit
Yes.
in. So
Yes. And so though I'm still the least, part of me still inside was saying you can, they, just because you're the least, you can, for inexplicably,
yes,
that you're still on par with these guys.
yes,
You know, um,
I belong here.
I belong here,
Mm-hmm.
though everything outwardly says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember I had a very good friend because, my mother was a strategist even at that time. She, would go and because we lived here, she would go and get the address from one of my dad's friends, and use their address for us to be able to go to the better school district.
Okay. Okay.
And because we're also in the better school district, it's better because you got there, larger home prices, which means you got people that have, which means you got kids that are wearing the nice, Levi's and the nice, penny loafers and all this stuff, and so now I'm in that, and I'm still believing, you know, partly that I belong, but I'm still, but outwardly, we're still, lacking in a lot of ways. But
right. So, but although I was solid and rooted and balanced inside, my external appearance didn't match what I was feeling
right.
inside. And so, for someone 7, 8, 9 years old, I'm assuming in the new neighborhood at that time, or were you a little older?
They married when I was 8, 9, and we moved to the new neighborhood when I was. Actually, we moved to the new neighborhood. Oh, Lord Jesus. We moved to the neighborhood when I was 9, going on 10. And I said Lord Jesus because it just reminded me, you know, the enemy will try to find different ways to try to, tear your esteem down when your external looks a certain way. And so I remember when I was in the fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the fourth grade. And you see, I always told myself, that I can compete. I was better in that. There's something good about me. This was what I tell though the external.
That was your self-talk.
Yes, that was self-talk. And I'm great in math. I'm genius in math, is what I would say, you know. And I remember the teacher was trying to explain something, and I'm not going to give the teacher's name, though I could give this female's name.
We're keeping it
you know. And I was sitting up on the board, and again, I'm in this neighborhood, and a lot of others, understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there at the board with my afro, and I didn't quite understand what she was trying to communicate to me. Mind you, I have a strong pride that I can be good in mathematics, and she gets frustrated at me and begins just saying no, 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 no. But when she's saying no, 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 each time she's marking my head with a chalk, top of my head. No, 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 no.
So you're being drawn on.
I'm drawn on here, just chalk all in my crystal,
wow.
cold, shiny black afro.
Okay.
And I'm laughing, but it's really, really, really was very, very demeaning, very, emotionally still very hard, and turning and looking back like this. I remember looking back and seeing all of the children laugh at me. And then look at her again, and she's like, "Oh my God! Oh no! Don't kids, stop! Don't laugh! Don't laugh!" And amazingly, I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my parents because of where we came from. You understand? Being the least, not having a defender, though he's there. This is if you're asking from the boy. I got used that I had to defend for myself. I had to look. I was the burden. and that was unfair to them. That was unfair to them to assume that they would not rally to my cause, but
that was your mindset at
that
the
was the
time.
mindset at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a son right now. I have 4 daughters, but I have a son right now, and I can tell you, I know my son. I can tell you, not only would his mentality be very different if a teacher did that, but after that, he would come home and we would be having a conversation about it. That's that security, that confidence, that strength in, that you got that's something that.
But that so you're bringing up a very interesting point there. That particular incident, obviously, the teacher at the time did something very demeaning.
Yes.
Something that was really
Fireable offense in my mind.
Yes, yes. Um, you had the embarrassment of the entire classroom observing and watching while you're mocked on. And then all of a sudden the teacher comes to herself and recognizes, oh my goodness, what did I do?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like you were describing.
Yes.
And
exactly
then she asked the kids to stop.
Yeah.
Then how did she finish that with you? I want to understand how that got finished with you. Do you remember her saying, I'm sorry, didn't mean to? That's the truth. All we're doing is speaking the truth.
Yes.
So if she came to herself, but yet still couldn't come and make sure that you were whole, and then you have to finish that.
I have to be fair now here, Nicole. Sister Nicole. I have to be fair. She might have, but all I can
You just remember the part of what happened.
Of is these kids laughing at me as I'm sitting here and stunned. And really, what's so unfair about it is she did not explain it well. She didn't. She did not explain it well. She had trickery in what she was, and so her frustration wasn't even rightfully, merited. And so she may have said something, but I was demoralized, and I went and I sat in my chair, and and because I was always behind, I wasn't least, but I was there was these, this was just.
There's a sentence I hear you start but not finish, and it's almost as if you're trying to say, I didn't share with my mom because it's almost as if, and this is before you even moved, but since you moved into the new environment, the new neighborhood, the new school, it's almost as if you're saying, I kind of began to, and you correct me if I'm finishing that sentence incorrectly, but you start a sentence and you don't finish, but it's almost like I began to get used to being treated like this.
Yeah,
I understood I was the least of these. I was treated like I was the least of these, even though I guarded my mind and my heart that I'm more than that and I'm special. But I came to know that that's just how I'm going to be treated. Correct me if I'm misspeaking.
It became one more thing that I just had to persevere through. That's just how, And again, it's not fair because when I recounted that story years and years after the fact, my mom was like, "Did you come? What did I do?" Like that. I said, "Huh?" I said, "You didn't know." What do you mean I didn't do nothing? I said, "Well, I didn't tell you about it. You didn't come home and tell me about that." She was even stunned that and so I.
And you said your reason for not telling her is because you thought you had to. Was this you trying to become a man, or you just felt I'm going to handle it myself? What was that you were trying to express?
And I can get, and now as we're talking, I can understand it better now. Is as she was before my stepdad came in the picture, she would leave and walk miles in the day, catch a bus, go to work, then catch the bus, back. And let me give this, because I don't know who the bus driver's name is, but I want to honor him before the Lord. When the bus driver saw, her plight, he got to where he would actually go off his route after he dropped everybody else, drop my mom off at the corner, way out of his route, just to drop my mom off so she can walk down our street. Late at night, it's dangerous. drop her to where she could get back safely. So Lord, I ask again, if he's still alive, bless whoever that was. But I'm
that's another, once again, making provision.
Yes, yes,
divine intervention just
yes,
happening to say, let me show grace and mercy towards your effort because I'm watching you every
yes, day. And that's an excellent
and and were you not telling mom because you just didn't want to add nothing to her plate? Is that
I wasn't telling mom because I told that, recounted that because we then were basically caring and looking after ourselves. We were coming home. Okay. We were making you got accustomed to that. I'd already gotten accustomed to being responsible and dealing with adversities.
Okay. I follow now. I follow.
You understand?
Yes.
Not to any fault, and it didn't change because they were 2 dealing with 5. They were trying to make it. This was just, I gotten used to trying to defend and stand up, or to just to bear my own burdens. That's the best. I got, So,
what are some other things? I hope you're taking a liking to our special guest story. Over the next 4 weeks, our special guest will continue to take us on a journey sharing some of the darkest and most challenging moments encountered over the course of their lives. Be on the lookout for weekly drops every Thursday, and remember, Beamy Global is a safe place where you can authentically keep it real and be yourself.